This is Jonathan St. James, and you're listening to The Truth is Still Straight podcast.
All right, folks. Once again, it's Jonathan St. James, and this is Jim along with me, and it is The Truth is Still Straight podcast. Not here is Don Marie, Dawn M. Kane, and Donnie St. James. Yeah, I understand how you feel. You guys like them on the show too, but we still got the show still must go on. And of course, you know, without the show, we won't have a life. So before we start, I want to thank everybody who watches the show.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that's going to be Pedro Falcone, Tatiana Cruz, Sister Millie out on the West Coast, Milton Gonzalez, V, and Lee. I know that rhymes, but
Halfway.
yeah. All right, so we're gonna get into this show real fast because we've been ready to lock and load. So I'm gonna start the show off here, and we're gonna do 2 reaction videos. One is gonna be about a show called Ready to Love. And the other one is, of course, the Kevin Samuels. So let's run through this. I'm going to start it up real fast. The show is basically about 20 people, 12 women and 8 men who try to navigate the relationship. Most of them are over 30. The youngest woman is 31. Her name is Ashley. And the youngest guy, forgot what his name is. I'm not even going to try to remember what his name was, but they got him out of there with the quickness. So we're going to start the video off and we're going to discuss it real fast.
This love is so real.
I'm Tommy Miles.
And he's from
Welcome to Atlanta,
Steve Harvey Show.
city with a dating problem.
Nephew Tommy.
I am an African-American woman
So
in
that's
a
Melinda.
predominantly black city with 20 women to 1 man.
This ain't no one out here can find love. All that's about to change. For the next 10 weeks, we're bringing 20
That
single
was
people
Tiffany.
together to find something real.
I broke up with my girlfriend of 6 years.
Why?
She wasn't forever.
My life is so dope. The only thing missing is somebody to share it with. That's it.
These singles are here because they want a serious relationship. First, the women will narrow down the men, and the men will narrow down the women until only 3 couples remain. Hopefully, soulmates. Right. It's time to find out if a group of quality singles here in Atlanta are really ready to love.
So that's the intro to the first season. And I wanted to talk about that real fast. So I wanted to get on here graphic so you can see what the people look like that was on the show. I'm going to put that up so you can get a understanding of what the cast of characters look like, and then you can see what I'm about to talk about here. So here's the cast there. As you can see, there's 12 women, and then there's 8 men. Let me see if I can find the youngest one. The youngest one is, let's see, her name is Ashley, and she has on the green dress. No. The one, I think she's the one above with the green dress. So there's a woman in the green dress towards the middle. She's the one above, and the youngest guy, I don't know what the hell his name is, but he's the one that has that hair on his head. So the oldest guys,
the hair on his head.
yeah, you see, he got all that crap on his head.
Yeah, I see it.
So that guy, and then the oldest dudes there is Chris, who's the light-skinned guy on the bottom, and I forget what the guy's name on. Whatever the guy's name is, all the way on the top. Those are the oldest dudes, and they're in it well into their 40s. Most of the guys are in their 30s. The women are 30s, 40s. Some of them are like 31, 34, like in that age range. The oldest one is Melinda and Dr. whatever her name is in their 40s.
Oh, they got a doctor in there? Excuse me.
Play a hater degree. Play a hater degree.
All right, gotcha.
So the funny thing about them really is and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because they chose these men like they would choose them in real life. And here's the thing. If you're having problems in relationships, why would you choose the kind of men that you are struggling with now? Like, it didn't make sense. But when all you see in all those men, they eliminated now they're all pretty much successful. Chris was like a pastor. I don't remember what a lot of the other guys did. I just remembered him because he was very charismatic in the way that he spoke to women. And he was very open and honest about his life. And the women, they liked him, but not enough to choose him to stay in the game.
Really?
So, go ahead.
Based upon that, what do you mean by like? What were the qualities that they liked? Just his openness, or?
They liked his openness, that he would talk about, he was serious about what he wanted. And they, there was a value in that to them. So they were like, oh, I like that. He's, he's open. He knows what he wants and things like that. But the problem with that was, it wasn't enough for him to get to the next episode. So.
Is that what most women are looking for, though? No, a man know that he wants? You should at least made it farther than that. I see.
So I'm gonna show you the three guys. The next video was the three guys that sort of got a chance to stay around. So I'm gonna show that video next. Here we go. Let me go back to the right. Here we go.
Previously on Ready to Love, Alex and Tiffany took the next step.
Is it crazy that I don't want this to end?
Well, I don't think it's crazy at all.
But Alex also got closer to Shantae.
Them things is gripping kind of tight.
The fight for Michael's heart heated up.
He much my man as he is yours.
He might be mine a little bit more, though.
Sparks flew between Stormy and Aaron.
I've been sleeping on Stormy. As much time as we can spend, I want to spend some time with you.
But after being unclear about his true feelings toward other women, did you tell her you're coming on too strong?
Not yet. If you was to ask me, am I going to take it or leave it right now, I'm open to taking it.
I can see through bull. Aaron lied to my damn face.
Aaron faced the consequences.
You're weak.
Excuse me?
You're trying to play the field with all these chicks, and what you're not going to do is play me. I'm done.
So as you see, I wanted to stop it right there for a moment and talk about what we saw so far. So the interesting thing was that, like I said, in the first episode, they talk about what they don't like in relationships and stuff like that and issues that they had. But the truth of the matter is that they, they picked guys that was the very same thing that they didn't like. So I'm like, the three guys, the one dude, Aaron, a player. And then I won't say the rest of the guys were players per se. They weren't outwardly players. They were like introverted. Their game was like a little. Aaron was he kept his a stack. And the rest of the guys, theirs was a little undercover. And the shadiest of them to me was Mike. I mean, I'm not gonna play a lot of this, but I kind of wanted to get a essence of what we talk about in terms of relationships. So let's see what else is going on here. Let me make sure I turn that volume up.
Yeah, we got a lot of catching up to do. Filling in the blanks. I know. Hey, The remaining 9 ladies decided to meet up without Tommy, and we just kind of wanted to figure out what's going on because we're all dating the same man.
There's 3 guys and 9 women left at this point?
No, it's 8 women at this point.
8 women and 3 guys?
3 guys.
That's the problem right there.
Right, but see, this is representative of dating reality, and that's why I love this show, because they're showing there's a disproportionate ratio from women to men, especially when they're talking about in Atlanta, the dating scene,
right.
And it's very representative of how dating works. So you get a room where there's more guys. It starts off more guys to closer to the amount. So there's again 12 women and 8 men, and then they have to get rid of, it's like you're in a club. Let's say you're in a club or a party.
I understand that. So it's a combination, of really what's not being understood.
Right. So they don't understand at all. They don't understand the dynamics of the show that they're in, because the show is representative of real life. The only difference between here and real life is they're pushing them to talk to these guys. But if they were in a natural setting, they wouldn't be dealing with most of these guys. They would really be dealing with probably the 3 guys that they chose, right? And they would be dealing with them. But they trying to sped up the process of show in real life. This is how it really works. Women like the same kind of guys, and behind the scenes, that these guys are talking to these women, finessing them or doing whatever they're doing. The only difference here is it's out in the open. They see it in front of them, but they don't understand this is only one lady on this show was just hip to everything. Her name was Angel, and she understood the whole dynamic of the show, but I don't think anybody picked her, but oh wow.
Because she understood the dynamic.
Right. She was too understanding, and they didn't like that.
That's the problem. Ignorance wins sometimes. Keep going.
But Ashley, this lady here, she was one of my favorite.
I'm very excited to hear all of the tea, because you know me, baby. I'm going to be sitting back, relaxing with my popcorn and my tea. Can't wait.
Where is Stormy? Stormy is sick.
Stormy is sick.
Oh, is she sick? Yeah.
Yeah, she was in the hospital. She hoped to be out of the hospital today.
We need her back spinning records real soon.
Yeah, that's scary. I didn't know that.
And that's Aaron. Aaron is the big time player of the group. And it's funny because that's Stormy right there, who's a DJ. I think she's like 39. She actually liked Chris, but unfortunately, everybody got rid of Chris in the second round. So she didn't have a chance to connect with Chris. So she was forced to kind of deal with these 3 guys that she really.
That's another problem. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
How are you?
For me?
I feel like there's something special between me and Stormy. So when I found out that Stormy was back from the hospital, I felt like it was only right for me to go check on her and make sure she was all right. To hear you was in the hospital, I was like, what?
He talks funny.
It's been really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Most people from Atlanta talk funny, dude.
I went into the ER. Girl, you got to slow down. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I know I do. It's just, I get all these opportunities and they keep coming. So I don't want to say no.
Yeah.
With everything that I have going on, from DJing and traveling and my day job, it took a toll on my body. They said if I would have waited any longer, I would have went into kidney failure.
I'm like, what's wrong with you?
It's definitely a wake-up call for the storm.
See, that's an indication to me. And a lot of women don't understand this. They're looking for traditional relationships, but they're not traditional.
Right.
Well, I should say they want the men to be traditional, but they don't want to be traditional. Because I'm like, even in the early video, she's like, I don't think I want to stop DJing. I don't think I want to do this. And if I'm with a man, he has to understand and he has to get with the program. But here's the thing. If I'm not that kind of man, I'm going to be like, out of there real fast. And if that ain't fast enough, hopefully this is fast enough. Out of there.
But see, she suffered the consequences because obviously she didn't know her own limitations.
Right. But go ahead.
It's a very important that, everybody know their limitations. Look what happened to her. She, all the hustling, she would have I won't say she would have dropped dead, but she would have been in serious trouble. It's okay, to work, to get a little, your little hustle on and stuff like that. But know your limitations, it's a time for you to sit back and relax.
Right. I liked Alex, I think that's his name, one of the other guys in the final 3.
to come and visit me. Like seriously,
let's see what
that
else
means
we
a
get
lot.
to here.
You're so high speed.
I didn't care for Aaron because he played these
Having
games.
a family, obviously, it kind of requires some part of slowing down. Can you see yourself really slowing down?
It's difficult to balance.
Yeah.
See?
And it is taking a toll on me. Literally, my head is pounding right now just thinking.
She ain't learned a lesson.
And it's serious.
Yep.
I just know that I have to prioritize. Would that be something that you can work around or deal with?
As long as you can prioritize and make time for us, or make time for the things that are important to you, that's perfect. I mean,
good answer.
You see what happened there? So he had to change what he wanted to say in order for her to be okay with it. And that's the long term, that's the problem with a relationship.
Yep.
Because a lot of men, they'll say anything in the beginning, but once they get into that relationship with a man, with a woman, then everything's like, well, I got a problem with it. And it's vice versa. The same thing happens with women, but people are not upfront with what they really want.
Right.
All right, let's continue with this. I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, and then I'm gonna go over to Kevin Samuels. But go ahead.
Has anyone spoken to Melinda?
Aaron told me that he had a date with Melinda
That's
that kind of
Angel,
went
see?
sour.
I
He
see,
laid
yeah.
out his intentions, and she didn't take it very
And
well.
that's Rita.
She kind of blew up a little bit. And
Oh, let me tell you,
long story
Rita. Rita's funny. Rita, so because we're not gonna see up to that point, but Rita she's in her 30s and she's dealing with a guy, an ex that she claims she's not messing with, but he comes around every few months. And Rita liked, I want to say Alex, it was whatever Alex, I believe the guy's name was. And Alex ended up eventually breaking up with her because she kept dealing with the ex. And then the last straw for him was she went and she told Alex, oh, I met with him to tell him that I'm seeing you. And he said, why would you need to do that? And I thought that was interesting.
Oh
that,
my God.
She didn't see what the problem was with that.
Yeah, most
she
women
didn't see
don't,
anything wrong. And that's what I always tell women, this keeping these men in the background it just makes no sense. And a lot of guys, they just waiting for the opportunity to Netflix and chill. But women don't understand that dynamic. They don't understand the dynamic of men that's around you, especially if they were sleeping with you. Because why is a man with you? Used to be with you and he's still with you, but not in a relationship. That just makes no sense at all. And the guys, if you know women that's rocking with their exes like that, and not a, hey, how you doing in passing, but yeah, we talked on the phone and text or whatever, you should definitely be looking out for that. Alarms and red flags, because that, think about it. Let's reverse the roles. If a woman was dating a guy, he was like, yeah, my ex, we talk on the phone all the time. You'd be like, what? And then you'd be talking about, how rude. And of course, you have a problem with that. And then you'd be like,
how dare you?
And then giving problems to the guy, giving them fits, going through his phone, calling chicks. Oh, who this? And then you like, yeah. So let's not get to this point. If you really like somebody, deal with them. And if you know there's guys that's trying to offer you the D, and I ain't talking about defense, they trying to put this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe. They trying to put that banana in your tailpipe. You need to leave them alone. I'm telling you straight up, because all it leads is to some serious disaster. And then you're going to find yourself in a place you don't want to be. And that's serious business. And I just want to.
So what ended up having with that conversation though? Just talking about he laid his intentions down, but she didn't like it. What was the intentions?
No. What do you mean?
No, I mean the previous conversation.
This one right here that's going on. Yeah. Hold on, let's play that. Let's go back to that. Let's play it.
Yeah, he said something about him laying down his intentions if she wasn't feeling it. I wonder what it was.
she eliminated herself.
She blew up. What do you mean she blew up?
She lit him up, and he kind of told her that's why you're still single.
Ow.
Rare.
That's not rare. That's telling about what it is.
So I'm trying to remember what the conversation was about in that discussion. I think what it was is
okay. So he was forget the conversation. He was being honest with her. She didn't like
he was
the
yeah. So that's why I like Angel, because Angel keeps it a stack all the time. Angel was like, listen, guys don't want to hurt women's feelings. And she was like, it's very hard for men to tell women the truth because they get upset when the truth is not in their favor.
Right.
So,
yeah.
She had everything. That's why my person, if I was those guys, I would have just hooked up with Angel, because Angel she knew the game. She knew Aaron's game, and not game the same what he was playing. He's playing games, but she knew what he was about. She was like, listen, he's trying to figure it out, and he's trying to, he's going through things, and he's trying to understand how to deal with women on this level that he's never had to deal with before.
Right.
And I was like, she's on point. But the problem with him was he was too busy being a player and then not really looking for what he should have been looking for.
Right, because there was plenty more women than men.
Right.
That was the problem.
That's the point. That's the point.
Too much women than men. So he felt like he had more options.
Right.
With that outnumbering, that's what he's used to. That's his element. When the numbers are stacked in his favor, because there's only 2 other men, so only two other women's gonna get. So that's 7 or 6 other women free for him to go and bounce around and try to get.
Well, up to a point, it was 7. It was up. It went from 8 to 6, and that's I don't like I said, I haven't seen
but at that point in time, he had more options. That's why he was playing that for you. He was playing his numbers game. And these women have to understand, when there's more of you and not enough men, you have to step your own game up. You are not getting a man to lock down. Your ultimatums for him to have a relationship with you don't mean nothing, because there's 4 other women there doing the same exact thing you are. Get it out of your head. Step your game up. Message. That's what y'all need. You see how he did it? You see how he played the field? Because he knows the numbers games. You women don't play the numbers games. You play the feelings games. It was okay when it was 8 men and it was lowered down to 3. But now it's your turn. What are you doing? What are you doing? Complaining, being bitching and moaning? No.
Yeah.
That's why he said you're gonna be single, because the numbers don't favor her, and she still doesn't realize it. That's why she got eliminated.
And this is what Stephen A. Smith had to say to the ladies on that show.
Stay off the weed.
I haven't heard that in a while.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a while.
So, that's why I love that show. Definitely it wasn't. It's on the OWN network. I would have never seen it. It just popped up on my my YouTube. But I love that show. I'm gonna start watching the other episode, the other season. But to me, it's very representative of life. Like I said, they had the chance to, and even some of the ladies, when they were leaving, they were like, "Oh, I now I know I need to do things different." But the thing was, they were doing the same things on the show that they were complaining about men in real life. So you picking the same wrong guys for you and looking over the guys that are right for you, because these are the ones that float your boat and tickle you.
And, and they didn't really think. The part they're part of was a controlled experiment. They helped control the environment. You were more controlled when the men were chasing you, and you still messed up. That tells you something. You still messed up, and you were in more control, or the interactions, all the stuff, over how the men were doing. It wasn't somebody from the outside coming in. It wasn't too much outside stimulation. It was controlled. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you should have been able to be able to experiment, do something different. You can't keep doing the same thing. That's why you're on this show. That the show was to try something else.
And they didn't.
In all honesty, and you didn't.
They reverted.
On the show.
They reverted to the same old tactics.
Default, default setting. And they hit the reset button. It's default setting. Once they got into a situation, then it's default setting, factory setting.
Pretty much the same results. Think about it.
Exactly.
But I felt bad for Angel, because Angel was my favorite. I liked Angel a lot. Like I said, if I was, I think Aaron was the one. Aaron,
you
if
got
I was,
Angel?
no, is it Aaron or Alex? I forget who was the one. It wasn't Mike for sure, because Mike was, you know, and Tiffany, Tiffany. I don't know if you paid attention to her. She, to me, I would have never, if she was the last woman on earth, I wouldn't have chosen Tiffany. Tiffany, Melinda, and Dr. whatever I said the person's name was. I can't remember what her name. Those were the three most masculine women. And then you had chameleons in the group like Shay, Shantae, Shatava. They were very masculine. The women that were in their feminine was Ashley and Angel. And Angel, those were the two most feminine women. A lot of those women were in their masculine. Just, you know, everything was like, yeah, you know, get on my program, do this and do that. And then and I think that's why it was so hard for the men to really settle down and pick the ladies throughout the process, because there was just so much turmoil between them going through the process. So they're like, oh no, that's too much. Let me go try over there. And I know Alex, I think Alex and Tiffany, they were like very close, but he kept going back and forth because she was just so confrontational. And then she started tripping because he didn't call her back in time. He didn't text her back in time. And then she started, you can't call back. You can't text back. And then I turned him off, and then he didn't want to do it. So they had a conflict for weeks. And then finally, you know, I mean, she's a beautiful lady. So I guess he was like, well, I'm gonna just, you know, try one more time. Right. So I don't know what the ultimate thing was with them, because like I said, they only had so many episodes on YouTube. They didn't have the whole season. They had like 8 episodes, and I watched all 8 episodes.
It's a decent representation. I don't understand. I do understand with the women. I just don't see what is the refusal to try something else when you don't have that much pressure. You know, when it was eliminating the men, I don't think that they had that type of pressure. It was just, you know, their default setting, you know what it is. And now that the roles were reversed, they didn't like it, especially the women that are masculine. They didn't like it, because now the men are saying, get on their program, basically, if you want us to date. And they didn't like it. They just thought it was a one-way street. The men has to get on their end. And then when they couldn't eliminate any more men, that's when they lost their power. And that's when their masculinity came out.
Hey, you there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But the funny part about that was, what do they say? Insanity is doing something over and over again, but doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's what they did there. And that's why it was just so difficult, because the men just couldn't find enough to, with the exception of Aaron, because Aaron was just being a player there.
Well, yeah, you know, and that's the type of man you gotta get, a man who's
trying to please the ladies. And, you know, but he was so overt with it. He wasn't like the other guys. The other guys could have been gaming too, but they were more serious in their approach to the women. So the women started, you know, they started getting upset, and then all of a sudden,
the deception, the betrayal, man, you deceived me.
But he didn't do that at all. And that's the funny thing. He was very, with his macking, he was straight up macking, you know, like that was his thing. But when they didn't want to see it, and then at one point when it's kind of dwindled down to like a little bit of them, then all of a sudden their eyes were open, and then they saw it, and then they were like, aha. And now it was a problem. And that's what happened. And it's funny, in everything, the vision on the women, and I guess the men to a certain extent, the 3 guys that were left behind, because some of the other guys in the beginning, they were long-term. Their vision was long-term, but most of the people, they had short-sighted views, and they didn't see the bigger picture from the beginning. And that's why they ended up in all this trouble. So I thought it was interesting how representative of life this is. And this is how it happens, because all the women chased it after the same 3 guys, and the 3 guys, like you said, they played the numbers, and that's why it didn't work well for the women. But that's how life is. That's how it is all the time. You go to work and you see some guy that's dating all the women on the job and they're all falling over him. And, you know, not to say that the workplace is, somewhere where you should be getting into relationships, but that's the best dynamic I can talk about where we know automatically. Most of us are not in school. School's another place. All the girls chase after the same guy in school.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
All right, now let's go over to Kevin Samuels now. Not as dramatic as that, but let's go over to Kevin Samuels. And this one is called Modern Women Will Be Homeless. And this lady is a trip.
What?
Yeah.
Let me hear this.
This lady's a trip that he's talking to. Let me just get to that video.
She got a lot of luggage.
You'll hear her.
I am single. I got a boyfriend though.
Okay.
Single with a boyfriend.
So how long you guys been together?
A year and a half.
Okay. Do you want to get married one day?
No.
Okay. That's fine. So curious. Any children, by the way?
No children.
Okay. So as a Black woman with no children, what is life going to look like for you at 55 years old? Not money-wise, socially.
Socially, I don't know. I'm pretty introverted. It's kind of just.
So now, let me stop it there because that is a lot of red flags there. And this guy, he definitely needs to sound the alarm on her, his boyfriend. And I don't think that he's going to be around for a while. And because the red flags with her is introverted, don't want to have kids. And I don't know if she said it at this point. I'm going to play it a little long, see if she says it. But she says she doesn't want to get married. And I'm like, what does a guy want to do with that? You can't have, I don't know if he has kids or not, but most men want to be with women to have a family. I don't know a lot of guys that's like, I want no kids. I want to be married. I want nothing. We just going to be boyfriend and girlfriend for the rest of my life and we're going to die.
Oh my God.
Because here's the problem. And I talk about this, in other episodes. There are people killing their family lines off. They don't have any kids. You have children of parents who have 0 kids. So now those parents, their family tree dies right there. There's no kids in the whole family. So they had kids. Their kids are at the age where they're beyond grown, 40s and 50s. We know it's very difficult after a certain age for women to have children. And if you're 50 years old, you're approaching menopause. So once that happens, realistically, what children are you having? And one of the women is about 50, 47, 48, something like that. And then the other one is close behind. And we know that it's very difficult for women to get pregnant in their 40s. And at that point, if you're not ready to get married, or you don't want to get married and you don't want to have kids, what's going to happen? The family line dies. So very sad and unfortunate. But let's hear what else she has to say.
The small circle I have now, so I plan on maintaining the circle that I have now.
Okay.
Circle.
Yeah.
What city do you live in, if you don't mind?
I'm in Chicago.
Chicago.
So at 50, okay, my friends that I had in high school, I don't talk to any of them.
Yeah,
we're friends on Facebook, and a few of the people I went to college with, we're in contact with. But you change friend groups every 5 to 10 years. So at 55, do you want children?
Yeah.
What?
Serious? Then help me understand. Why do you want kids and not a husband?
That's weird because she didn't say she wanted kids in the beginning.
She didn't say want kids. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
See, you know what? Women do this. They change their views on the fly with the questions being asked to avoid looking a certain way. She sees Kevin Samuels is asking these questions, and she's trying to figure out where his line of questioning is going, and she just doesn't want to deal with the consequences. She thinks her answers are wrong. This is not a multiple choice test. You gotta stick with your convictions, yes or no. It's as simple as that.
The Jacksons will be jealous of her nose because they have to pay to get that nose.
Oh my God. Keep going. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Really not into the idea of marriage. And neither is my boyfriend right now. We're building like a good relationship. We've built a good relationship with one another. So I don't, marriage is not a goal of either of ours.
Okay. But okay.
And also I didn't grow up like seeing married couples. That's just not a thing that
but if you're born in this country, you know that marriage has a lot of
benefits.
Why? I don't understand, and I'm really trying to understand why so many Black women are terrified of marriage.
I'm not necessarily terrified.
Well, it's not something you want to do or look forward to. It's like, whether terrified is the right word, you're supposed to look forward to family. Yeah. And now it's like, well, I'll have the kids, and I'll even have a man, but I don't want the structure of marriage. And why?
I just feel like I can be, well, I know one of the benefits is just like the wealth aspect of it, combining incomes, but I feel like me and my partner are on a trajectory to both be very successful and kind of won't need to depend on each other financially, if that makes sense.
No.
And I'm gonna say this.
I smell cat.
Because here's the thing. Everyone, if you never noticed, the one common denominator on Kevin Samuels is all these ladies are on a trajectory for success. Let me tell you, all the women who call they call Kevin Samuels, they are entrepreneurs. Everybody's an entrepreneur. Going fresh and fit. All the ladies are entrepreneurs. Then you ask them, what are you doing? Body contouring, OnlyFans, and all that. That's what you call being an entrepreneur. Come on, people.
Right.
You know, I'm selling candy on the subway. That makes me an entrepreneur. CEOs. That's what they said. CEOs, right?
CEO of one, right?
Right. People kill me. No, you're not a CEO. You're a proprietor. If you have a business, you're the only employee. You're a proprietor of that business. You're not a CEO. I'm just saying. There's a structure for CEO in business. And if you don't have that structure, you're not a CEO. Just saying. That's it. All right.
I don't understand. Black communities at the bottom. Okay. Right. So you're talking about being a well-off Black woman. He's a well-off Black man. Those are just two single people. Why do other groups get married and we don't?
I don't know. But also, like I said, this is not nothing I grew up under or kind of seen.
She does know.
Well, we grew up in slavery.
I love what he says here.
And then after we were free, we were the most married. We had an 80% marital rate up to 1965. See, what I'm hearing is, it's like Black women today, like yourself, are almost like being married doesn't really seem like it's that big a deal.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about tax benefits and all this other kind of stuff, it's like, well, a couple $300. But how often have you watched my show?
I watch it pretty often.
Do you see all the women over 45 and 50 who are terrified?
Yeah.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to college?
Yes.
What'd you get your degree in?
I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in corporate communication. I know. You already know. Yeah.
Yes.
So you would have the kids.
Yeah, but I'm not even.
You know what's so funny? That she says she has a bachelor's in psychology. She didn't learn her lessons in school. That's
she avoiding the lessons she learned. She learned about herself, but she don't want to confront it. That's the problem.
That means you didn't learn your lesson. Because for you to learn your lesson,
Right, because she's saying, oh, well, you know, my past. Yes, with the psychology, you go into your past. You start thinking about these things. You learn about your past, but then you do the avoidance because you're not confronting the issue. There's 2 points of psychology. You have to confront it.
Yeah. So, you know, her boyfriend at some point is going to be like,
He ain't gonna be in rush hour 3.
So he ain't going to be there.
He probably has 2. He probably has 1 foot out already. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, probably. So, you know, I don't know what kind of guy this is, but he don't sound like a real man. He sound like he's
beta.
All right, let's go.
That on kids, like I don't even know if I want to have kids, like for sure. Like there's a possibility, but
nah,
like,
she's
right
not
now,
sure.
I'm kind of like focusing on like my career.
Well,
your career.
Going to be
Hopefully entrepreneurship. I'm working.
Entrepreneur.
Oh my God! This is the archetype. This is the entrepreneur, y'all.
But not just right now. I'm in education. I'm a teacher, and
but dear, no offense. Are you making over 6 figures?
No.
No.
Not in Chicago.
Are you making over 90,000?
No.
80,000?
No.
70,000?
No.
60,000?
No.
50,000?
Shit.
No.
Hold on here.
No, sweetie.
I'm just saying.
What's your on?
That's what I want to know.
On, son?
That's what I want to know.
Come on, son.
Lady.
Where my cat?
Hold on.
I got a whole bunch of that you just did.
What did Stephen A. Smith say earlier?
Stay off the weed.
Definitely for her. She is on some serious something because you're not even making $50,000, but you're on trajectory to be very successful. You know what she sound like? Those people who go on Shark Tank and they talk about they got all this, and then when they ask them about how much money they got in the bank, negative $300,000 in debt and this and that, but your valuation at $10 million. How you get a $10 million in valuation? Well, and yeah, you know, all of a sudden they start talking to them and be like,
okay, all right,
and then all of a sudden, bye-bye, they don't get a deal. So it's just interesting that she's talking about that. And of course, she sounds like she's capping, but let's give a couple of more minutes and then we'll finish up.
Over 40,000.
Yes.
Man, you're a middle class. You're right there like most Black women.
Yes, I understand.
Hold on, listen.
Facts.
Let me really try that.
I want to hear him just saying.
28.
Stop with the
27, 28.
28.
28.
74% of Black women earn less than 50,000. You have a degree in psychology and communication.
And teaching.
You are not going to be, and this is why I tell you guys, so many of our women
entrepreneur
think entrepreneurialism is going to jump them past the structure. So many of our women are just chaotic, don't want to deal with structure. You know, just like I know, the careers that pay 6 figures are physicians, attorneys, accountants, engineers, things that require professional certification, schooling, lots of study. You know that, right?
Yes.
The only jobs that can stand to pay that amount of money and not require that level of intelligence, schooling, and discipline is something sales related. That's why so many of our women end up going into some sort of real estate or some sort of entrepreneurialism, which is another way of saying I can't go out into a company and demand $250,000 salary, but I'm going to go out into the market and through my own accord, through my level of competency, I'm going to get it from the market. And it doesn't work. 9% of Black women earn more than $75,000. Why is this 9%? Important? Because, man, you don't want to be married, cool. You don't want kids, fine. But at earning less than $50,000 a year, you are already off track. Here's an example I often give. A woman earning $50,000 in Chicago or Dallas at age 25, and she gets an inflationary raise every year to where that $50,000 doesn't lose any buying power, right? And she saves $200 a month. And she's working from 25 to 65, that's 40 years. 40 years, no kids, $50,000, not losing any money to inflation, and she's knocking away $200. Boom, 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 boom. If that woman has a life expectancy of age 85, 65 to 85, she's going to be short. She is going to run out of money by the age of 73. She is going to need an additional $750,000 to live, not thrive, to survive. That's why I said that's you. You're making less than 50. And the likelihood of you becoming a top 5% earner is zero. Not zero, less than 1%.
Okay.
Because, ma'am, because if it was as simple as becoming...
Everybody would do it.
In order to make the kind of money to have $2.4 million in retirement, you have to be making close to $95,000 right now and saving it. This is why marriage is so important, because...
And she sounded like something like this. Somebody dropped an anvil on her head. Lady, I understand that people get bright-eyed and they get filled with dreams. And I understand, and there's nothing wrong with pursuing your dreams, but you also have to realize there's a part of out there that when people pursue their dreams, that there's a possibility of failure. And that's what she has to understand. And I don't think she understands that. So she wants to say, and of course, it's easy for people to say, yeah, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be rich. And everybody wants to do that. I don't know anybody that sets out to do anything and they end up broke. But the reality of the things is you got to really be realistic of what you're trying to do. And it may not work. And you got to be prepared for what happens if it doesn't work out. And I don't think she's prepared for that.
Yeah.
And that's what the issue is. So, yeah. Well, so, it is what it is. Can't really stop people from what they're going to believe and what they're going to try to do in life, and not often try not to do that. But it is what it is. I wish her the best. Unfortunately, she's a little misguided on her plan. Doesn't want to get married, may or may not want to have kids, but here we are.
But it's going back to what she said, oh, my childhood dictated. She is still trapped in her childhood.
Yes.
You're still trapped in there. Her psychology didn't do anything for her. I mean, she just, because that is her safe zone. That's what she knows. That's why she's still trapped there. She's scared to go into the unknown. She doesn't want to do these things, and that's her safe zone. Unfortunately, you gotta grow up sometime. You gotta get that foot out the door. And a person like her knows what the problem is, but she's too comfortable in a situation as she is now. She's too comfortable. She has no responsibilities. She has no attachments. That's the word, attachments. She has no attachments to anything. So she feels like she's free and her trajectory is going up. And well, that's what she says. And she deludes herself into thinking that since her career is going up, she doesn't want to be tied down. And that's the problem. So she's making up every excuses that she could think of to avoid being in that situation.
I agree with that. All right, folks, you know what time it is. Relationship braces. Bringing hearts together, one heart at a time. Jim, you've heard this lady, 28, on a trajectory for success, but doesn't want to get married and may want to have kids. So, what advice would you give her to get her life together and on a real trajectory for success? Jim.
She's such on a trajectory for sex, but she hasn't really set a game plan. What's her game plan? How are you doing that? How did you figure this out? How did you come to this conclusion? Is this just something you just thought off in your head? It's I won't say disingenuous, but it's just one thing to say that you're on a career path, but you know what? Where's your plan? What's your game plan? With the first video we showed with the second lady, they don't realize the situation until it really happens to them. And you see how those ladies are in their 30s? She's approaching that. If she's going to have to wait till she's after 30 to realize the situation, or maybe her career path or trajectory is not what it seems. You know, it's, people think they have enough time. Time is fleeting. That's one thing you can't get back. That's the one thing you waste more of anything. And she has to make a decision. You know, the man that she's with obviously is not for her. He's not forcing her to make any decisions. He's comfortable with what he is. That means he has one foot out the door. He's not requiring anything from her. Men, when you get into relationships with women, they require something. And that's what it was with the first video, why the other men who were older didn't make it. They required something. Any man who is serious will require something. And it seems to me that this guy she's with doesn't require anything from her. That means one or two things. He's getting it from somewhere else, or he's not interested in you, or both at the same time. So, yo, ladies, you know, peep game, man. Like, you gotta be up on it. Be like Angel in the first video. Peep game. Just because, yo, you in Atlanta, don't be in Atlanta if you're a woman. 20-1, you're screwed. You know, come on now. Like, yo, your games, your machoism, your mannerisms ain't gonna work down there because you are the minority. You are abundance. You are not rare. The men are. That's why you got rid of the other two who knew what they want, because they're more rare than what you're used to. You follow the cubic zirconia and you leave the diamonds on the floor. That's why you got fools though. That's why they end up looking like fools, because you do the fool stuff. Fools go pyrite.
Right.
Do all the fool stuff. Women, yo, and I don't mean to be condescending, especially with that band Aaron. Like it was sad of him playing a numbers game, but that's what most men do. But he's still a jerk. You know, you could have at least done a better job like the other two guys. Come on, man. Like, show some class. You're on a show. But, you know, with the women, come on. You know?
Yeah. And the problem is you got to stop dealing with men that
she belongs to the streets.
Right. You need to stop dealing with those kind of guys. Because and I'm gonna be like Jim said, and I think it's vital that people understand this. If a man requires nothing of you, that's a serious red flag, because that means he doesn't care. He doesn't care at all.
He doesn't.
And that's never going to end well. I'm telling you, because he's just along for the ride. And you don't ever want to deal with somebody, man or woman, that's along for the ride. And they just roll with everything. Oh, you don't want to get married? No problem. You don't want to have kids? No problem. Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to find out he got married and has kids behind your back. And then he's like, well, I'm moving out because I got married and I'm having kids. That's how it usually happens. Because it's very rare. A man doesn't want to have children. It's very rare. It's and a young man at that. If he's a young man, I can't see him want to have kids. And men doing things, you know, many men that are doing things, they want to have kids. They want to have kids. They want to get married. You know, I can understand if he was burnt or jaded or something like that, and he tired.
The only way I can see it is if he took care of a kid that wasn't his and he found out later it wasn't his.
Yeah, maybe, but I doubt it.
That could, you know, I can understand. I'll scare you off for a long time. It's trust issues. I could definitely understand that, but most men do require something, you know? Come on now. You know, there are exceptions, not gonna lie, but we're talking about majority rules. That's all we're talking about here. We're not looking for exceptions, it's majority rules. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, folks. Well, you heard what we said today. You better listen to what we're saying, because oh yeah, I forgot to. Oh man, I'm messing up over here. Jim with them braces over there. Them braces. Hold on, I forgot to play the music. All right, folks. So we're gonna take you out, and we're gonna thank you for watching, paying attention, subscribing if you do, liking if you don't. With that being said, it's Jim and Jonathan St. James, and it is the Truth is Still Straight podcast.
Later.